I am shocked. I finally heavy used this camera in real world at a protest, and I want to show you my results, my findings and my pictures, and let's see if this camera is delivering or it's not delivering. So let's talk about this now. Hi there, Tudor Matescu here. In this video I want to finally share my real world results with Nikon ZF. Okay, I've bought the camera, I've used it, I was thrilled in using it, I was liking the results, but I didn't have time to learn the camera because yes, this camera, it is pretty different from my other cameras. So anyway, I decided to take this camera at a protest and use it just with this lens to document this protest, and I'll show you pictures and my results in JPEG files, but also I've edited some RAW files, and I'll finally address my findings. So first of all, I've thought that I was able to customize my settings to focus with this camera, but I've discovered that no, my settings weren't right, but I'm almost there. So how are my settings? First, I have two buttons to engage AF. One button, it is used as a back focus button with 3D tracking, but here it is a catch and a bug on Nikon ZF, I would say. On other Z cameras like Z8, I've understand that you do not have this bug. I will address it immediately. Anyway, and when I'm pressing the shutter button, I am engaging AFC all over the screen and using IAF. Also, I've made very cool settings. You are able to see there that I have a little plus mark. So when I'm engaging 3D tracking, I will know where the 3D box will start to track. So these were my settings. Auto ISO, but I've just discovered now how to use Auto ISO because yes, it is very strange. It is very different from Fujifilm cameras and also from Sony cameras. But finally, I understand how Auto ISO is working on Nikon ZF, and I will address also this. So anyway, I was thinking in my head that I just need to change the aperture and engage what AF I need. So 3D tracking with the middle point because it's a protest and I do not need IAF because the IAF can go all over the place. So I think I was prepared to do so, but when engaging 3D tracking, I was shocked that the 3D tracking was also looking for the eye. So it wasn't overriding the IAF. So 3D tracking, it's also working with IAF in the same time. And you can't disable IAF for 3D tracking. I have this on Sony. I can recall a setting where I have just an AFS box. So this doesn't work like this. So if you are shooting an event and you do not want IAF because you want to pick the subject, this will not work with Nikon ZF. So there is a bug here. I do think that they need to offer us the chance to engage a recall function or disable IAF on 3D tracking at least, or some option like this. Anyway, after discovering these settings, I've decided for this protest to work just with 3D tracking and disable entirely the IAF. After doing this, all was working great. I was able to nail focus where I wanted. So very important, and now I know what to do. So the next time when I need to choose my subject and IAF it's a problem, I will disable entirely IAF and use the back focusing button and AFC for the entire screen. So anyway, a little cumbersome if you are asking me, and also I've discovered that I can't set a function button to disable IAF fast. So anyway, it's not a big deal in the end because the camera, it is focusing very good. So regarding AF, after nailing the settings, the AF was very good. Now, regarding Auto ISO, after looking at my pictures, I've discovered that all my pictures are shot with ISO 1600. I thought that this was the maximum ISO, but no, Nikon ZF it's not functioning like Fujifilm. If I set my ISO to 1600, even if I have Auto ISO, Nikon ZF will override my Auto ISO settings and my minimum shutter speed. So it will not engage Auto ISO. So the trick is to set your ISO to a minimum ISO speed like ISO 200 and set your auto ISO to 1600 or 3200 and more, and then set a minimum shutter speed. And after this, finally, Nikon ZF will use the settings, the minimum shutter speed, and after this, Nikon ZF will set the ISO. So anyway, finally, I've understand how Nikon ZF it is working. Now, let's talk about real-world results and not just settings. How this lens is rendering after this many pictures, after this many portraits, how the AF was working in the end, and how I am liking the results and the ergonomics of this camera. So, first of all, I really do love the AF. The AF, after realizing how to set it up, was real great. I had very few missed shots, very few missed shots, and especially in hard lighting conditions when the subject was backlit and I didn't have a very contrasty situation, but anyway, it wasn't a problem. Regarding my knowledge in using Fujifilm cameras, I am betting that with Fujifilm I would had many problems, especially depending on the lens. So the results are very good regarding AF. Precise, good, fast, and I was able to take many shots when I need it. So very good results regarding AF, and this matters a lot. More than that, the EVF, that it's big and bright, and also this screen really helped me take some good pictures because the sun was in my eyes. This EVF really helped me. Also, I have some settings regarding the brightness of the screen and the brightness of the EVF. Very good settings. It's not like on Sony. On Fujifilm, the settings are very good, and also on Nikon ZF. So you can illuminate your LCD or your EVF and you'll be able to see it very well in sunny days in bright light. On Sony, the screen, it is totally ruined when you are bumping up the brightness of your screen. So very good ergonomics. Also, this screen really helped me take some down angle shots and it worked very well. But here it is the shock. Here it is the biggest shock. It was very cold outside and my hands were freezing and I've decided I need to put my gloves. In general, I'm not liking any of my cameras to use it with gloves. This is true for Fujifilm X-T5, this is true for Sony A7C, and for sure it is true for X-T50 and so on. Because the cameras are small, the buttons are small, and it's hard for you to operate those cameras. So I've put my gloves that were pretty thick, and my shock was like this. I was amazed that I am able to use this camera with gloves without any problems. It was staying very well in my hand, the shutter button with this edit button very well. Because the camera, it is a large camera, I was able to hold it and to access my buttons, my settings, and maneuver it without any problems. And wow, I've said, this is the first camera that I can use it with gloves without losing ergonomics. Very cool. So I was really loving it a lot, and because this is a big camera, a large camera, you will use it with two hands. And also this really helped me be in the mood, be attentive at what I'm composing. But more than that, and here it is another big shock, because this camera, it is retro looking. My subjects weren't intimidated at all. My friend had a Canon RP. And the people were looking strange at him. But because this is a retro camera, I've got very good reactions. Very good reactions. So I was taking the camera at my eye, using it with two hands, and the subjects weren't intimidated at all. And I was thinking, why this is happening? And yes, it is because of the retro look of the camera. A retro look of a camera, it is really helping your subject to relax. This is one of the biggest advantage of retro looking cameras. It's really helping your subject to relax. It's telling you this is a photographer, a passionate photographer. He knows what he's doing. He's doing photography. You are not in danger. So this is the subliminal message of a retro camera when you are using it for street photography and for documentary photography from my point of view. I may be wrong, but I've always discovered this. A very small camera is not intrusive, depending if you know how to use it and if you are relaxed, but also a retro looking camera is not intrusive at all. So my reactions when I've took portraits, because this is what I wanted to take with this camera, were very, very good. Now, regarding the lens and the rendering of this 40mm f2 lens that I was debating over 1 year plus when it appeared if this lens, it's a good lens, it's delivering or it's not delivering. Well, when looking at my results, I felt finally in love with this lens. The results, you are able to see the results, are crazy good. The JPEGs in black and white and also in colors are crazy, crazy, crazy good. You have a cinematic look in black and white, but also in color JPEGs. But I've took the JPEGs and I've edited the RAW files. And in this video, I'm showing RAW files and JPEG files. I was shocked how many details I have with this lens. If you are shooting this lens at f2.8, it is very, very sharp, still keeping a very good subject to background separation. Also, this is true for f2.2 and so on. Shoot it at f4 and also you still have subject to background separation because it's a full frame and you'll have plenty of details. So when you want to isolate a subject in the crowds with AF, with this lens, crazy good, and a wide lens, you aren't able to do this with an APS-C camera and sensor. So a wide lens, shoot it at f2 and you'll have your subject separated from the crowd and get that dreamy look. So regarding image quality of this lens and sensor, crazy, crazy good. The RAW files are so easy editable. I'm really liking to edit Nikon Z files. I feel that they are the most easy to edit files. Yes, it's possible not to have the dynamic range of a Sony camera, but I have enough dynamic range and I don't need more. The idea is that I'm able to get really fast at the required result. The colors are great, the details are there, so I'm editing the files very, very easy. It's crazy easy to edit the files also in black and white and also in colors. So overall, yes, I'm really shocked that Nikon ZF really delivered in a very tough environment. Lots of people, lots of crowds were coming towards me because this was the idea, to make pictures of the people that are at that protest. And Nikon ZF focused very, very well. I had very, very few missed shots when my camera wasn't set, but after setting up the camera, all was in focus. And it's not just that. I've said, the reaction of the people, very good. The black and white files, very good. The colored JPEGs, very, very good. And the RAW files, again, crazy good. The lens, it's a lens with character. It's that good character. It's not a clinical lens. It's not a blunt lens. It's a lens that may render random results from time to time, but overall, if you know what you are doing, you'll really love this lens. So for me, the 40mm f2 Nikon is becoming as my favorite 35mm f1.4 from Fujifilm. It has the character, it has the rendering, it has the black and white mojo in it. It has all you need to deliver, and more than that, it's a wide lens. A more practical field of view than a 53mm field of view. It is between 35 and the 50mm. F2 with character. What more could you want with a retro looking camera? So Nikon ZF really, really delivered, and I do feel that, how I've said, it is my best camera that I have at this moment. And if you are curious about the accessories that I'm using a waist level viewfinder that I'm sorry that I didn't took it at the protest, but have that in mind. I can use the waist level viewfinder. You can find it on AliExpress. Search for waist level finder on AliExpress and eBay, and you can find this for 35mm, for 40mm, and for 28mm. And the good thing is that I can still use the EVF and this doesn't bother me at all. So what does this mean? This means I can shoot this camera in any angle I could want. I can shoot it with an optical waist finder. I can shoot it with an EVF that it's bright, big, and very, very good. And also with a screen that you can set it up for bright sunny days however you want, and also with a flip screen that it's usable where you need different angles. So no worries. Also the mechanical shutter, it is very, very silent how I've said, so no worries again. Now regarding the other accessories that made Nikon ZF very, very comfortable to hold, especially with gloves, it is this small rig grip. Also I'm using the small rig battery as my second battery that I can charge it anywhere using an USB-C cable. So in conclusion, Nikon ZF, it is very, very good. Now subscribe to my channel, give it a like to this video, and also please be sure to check my newsletter for more photography tips and tricks. Also use my affiliate links if you want to buy something from the Amazon, from the gear that I'm using. And if you want to watch my next video, please click here right now. Thank you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.